Well, hello and welcome to the stream. Let's go ahead and see what we can get into. We're going to do a little bit of Ghost to Ghost 1995 with Art Bell. And this is going to be part one. Enjoy.
High desert and the great American Southwest. I bid you all good morning, good evening. And across all these many time zones, some of which are beginning to experience Halloween now, that will soon, some not for a while. Stretching from the Hawaiian Islands and Tahiti, the west, all the way to the U.S. Caribbean Virgin Islands in the east, south to South America, north all the way to the pole. This is Ghost I have a number of announcements and a little bit of standard news for you that we must cover. Ticketing items, time. I'm going to mess you with Ghost to Ghost throughout the night. Now, we have to look at the whole and so let me get that out of the way right now. What pleasure it is to welcome the big number WJR in Detroit. What an auspicious evening for you begin. Morning, man. 760 on the dial, 15,800 WHAM, 50,000 gigantic non-directional Halloween walks. Rochester, New York, with half a rock. Also WFMD in Frederick, Maryland. About 9:30 on the AM dial. Welcome to the program, serving into portions of Baltimore and Washington. Illinois. Welcome, WTAD. What to begin with? Well, first of all, the secular news of the day. Rebecca is not going to do it. The final vote it was Canadian hair. The yeses take it, or rather did not take it, and missed it by about 6 cents, 7 cents, I guess. The yes votes were 49.4, the no votes 50.6. So Quebec, Canada will stay together. And I must say that I'm happy for them, those that are happy, and I'm happy for you. Moving out of any country is not what I do. The question that I have had, and for all the new listeners out there, it's just impossible to explain my program. We do all kinds of casual things all the time. And I never know from night to night what we're going to do. And we'll tell you this. I have no false fear, don't want one, don't have any need for one. I've been doing the program this way for about 11 years. By the way, the affiliate count now is 230 affiliates nationwide. So I never know what's going to happen. I do the program at 5 hours per night. And if I have to stop here and do Rush, I like Rush. I don't do what he does. If I have to do that, I'm going to absolutely go. My wife has candles all over my room. I am appropriately decorated for Halloween. It is a hand. And as the candle burns, blood runs from red wax, I guess, but what sure does look like blood, runs down individually from each finger, staining weird candle. And from here in rural Nevada as well, I don't know why. Every room is scattered with burning candles. My picture of solidarity is says, I want your soul. With an S in the circle around. And there's a little sobering for you before we begin. We had a man, a good friend of mine, a man named Michael Scallion. He is, in my opinion, if there is such a real thing as a prophet or a visionary, Lord Michael Scallion is the modern day Edgar Cayce. No question about it. Aside from a fact which I got from him recently saying, look, no change program, but no change in my predictions. Many of you may recall his last words to us were, whatever you do, watch Vesuvius and Etna. I wonder if any of you recall that. Watch Vesuvius and Etna. Lord Michael Scallion is predicting earth changes that would make what we're like hit stuff. Well, my jaw hit my chest when I watched CBS Sunday Night News. Mount Vesuvius in Italy. There's been not much since 1944 where people died. Before that, 79 AD in Pompeii, 25,000 people dead. CBS said Vesuvius may be about to go up again. Experts are saying a series of quakes may be signaling a new major eruption. There is a voluntary evacuation call for, but we're 25,000 in Pompeii within striking distance of Pompeii, and there are now 500,000, and they're not going to leave. Scallion said one Vesuvius and Etna, and I just sat there. I actually woke my wife up. I said, Central California Assembly sent it back saying Vesuvius is going to blow. They're encouraging voluntary evacuation. They're moving into the U.S. California. Small earthquake in Alaska, 4.8, something like that, nothing too serious. They have turned on Beta, the billion channel extraterrestrial array. It is to look for aliens, to look for others anywhere out there, a major effort to find out if anybody is out there. Outside Boston, there is an 84-foot radio telescope. It is big. It's got no electronics. It is the private sector version, if you will, of SETI. SETI, as you know, has been funded, but this one just turned on. There are, it is estimated, 100 million planets in our galaxy that may in all probability contain intelligent life. I said that may contain intelligent life. Scientists say it is not a matter of if, but when. And so they are hoping that people get a signal, and they are confident. Also, over the weekend, right Wright-Patterson, as you know, Air Force Base near in Dayton, Ohio, is a very, very unlikely place for Middle East peace talks. Very unlikely. And yet, they are going to be held there, according to CBS News Sunday, in the strictest security. And of course, if all goes well, badly, depending on your point of view, 45,000 men into an area where waiting to take their land. One more item. I call it on this program. I call it the picketing. I've been doing talk radio now for this show, actually, but it's talk radio. And whether you're talking about social, economic, political matters, it doesn't matter. In every area of life, all around the world, things are beginning to occur at a faster pace. Now, I am not a Bible thumper, nor do I say we are headed towards some religious manifestation or change. I don't say that. I'm just telling you, as a talk host, I'm watching very carefully, and to me it is more than obvious that we are headed towards something big. Some big change, some big something. I don't know. I'm just a talk host. I'm telling you, I call it the picketing. And to add to it, there is a mystery epidemic sweeping northwestern Nicaragua. It has now affected thousands of people, killing 12 so far. Doctors are able to stop it. Clinics in a town of 13,000 say they've been deluged by patients from rural areas complaining of bleeding of the nose, gums, headaches, body aches, severe fatigue. In dramatic form, patients have come in and collapsed in the unit. One doctor told Reuters, all we can do is halfway stabilize them and send them off to Lyon. They only go to die there. So we have got another one, ladies and gentlemen, a new mysterious disease of some kind. We don't know what it is, but we do know that it is. All right, in a moment, we are going to start down a very different path. Interesting as all of that news may be, there will be lots of airtime in the next several days to talk about it. Because this morning, we are going to, I don't know if you were to celebrate, but we are going to make significant notes of Halloween. And we are going to do it in a serious way. And before I even begin, I want to lay down a few ground rules. Number one, no jokes. I'm only interested in serious, and I mean serious and true ghost stories. There are plenty. Is there life after death? It is probably one of the biggest questions of troubling mankind. Has been since probably we've been walking around thinking about stuff. Well, one sure way, one possible way, I guess I would say, to determine if there is life, a spirit that exists beyond the one we have on the physical body, increasingly burdens us as we travel down life's highway. If there is some spirit that lives beyond the body, one way and one area of exploration is obviously the spirit world. It's been quite some time now, but on this very day, across much of America, back I believe in 1926, he died on. Anyway, back to my ground. About my one only serious stories, ghost stories of one sort or another. And that's what we're going to do all night long. Now, the audience had a big talk about it last night. Now, obviously, when I come on the air tomorrow night, this time, it still will be Halloween. So we will do tonight in totality. Tomorrow night will be partial. On this program, we celebrate. You know it. Profoundly is dead. Celebrate that word. So, in a moment, a couple of stories to prep you for what's coming. Now, here is a truly bizarre story now. This is still not yet quite the water, but I wanted you to hear it. On March 23rd, 1994, the medical examiner viewed the body of Ronald Opus and concluded that he died from a shotgun wound of the head. Not unusual yet in our society. The descendant had jumped from the top of a 10-story building intending to commit suicide. He left a note, that indicating his despondency. As he fell past the 9th floor, his life was interrupted by a shotgun blast through a window, which killed him instantly. Bear in mind, the fellow had jumped out of a very high floor, but as he came by floor number 9, his head literally was blown off by a shotgun. Neither the shooter nor the decedent was aware that a safety net had been erected at the 8th floor level to protect some window washers, and that Opus would not have been able to complete his suicide anyway because of that. Strange. Ordinarily, Dr. Mills continued, quote, a person who sets out to commit suicide ultimately succeeds, even through the mechanism, even though it might not be what he really intended to be. That Opus was shot on the way to certain death 9 stories below probably would not have changed his mode of death from suicide to homicide. But the fact that his suicidal intent would not have been successful caused the medical examiner to feel that he had homicide on his hands. The room on the 9th floor where the shotgun blast emanated was occupied by an elderly man and his wife. Get this, they were arguing and he was threatening her with a shotgun. He was so upset that when he pulled the trigger, he completely missed his wife, and the pellets went through the window, hitting Opus, who was on the way to his, he thought was his death anyway. One intends to kill subject B. One is guilty of the murder of subject B. When confronted with this charge, the old man and his wife were both adamant that neither one of them knew the shotgun was loaded. The old man said it had been his long-standing habit to threaten his wife with an unloaded shotgun. He had no intention to murder her. Therefore, the killing of Opus appears to be an accident. That is to say, the gun had been accidentally loaded. The continuing investigation turned up a witness who saw the old couple's son loading the shotgun about 6 weeks prior to the fatal incident. It transpired that the old lady had cut off her son's financial support, and the son, knowing the propensity of his father to use the shotgun in a threatening way, loaded the gun with the expectation that his father would shoot his mother. The case now becomes one of murder on the part of the son for the death of Ronald Opus. Can you believe it? There was an explicit twist. Further investigation revealed that the son, Ronald Opus, had become increasingly despondent over the failure of his attempt to engineer his own mother's murder. This is what led him to jump off a 10-story building on March 23rd, only to be killed by a shotgun blast through a 9th-story window. The medical examiner closed the case as that of a suicide. So, There you got it. The weirdest but the true story I could possibly have found for you to kick off Halloween 1995. That one is weird, but it is true. Maybe it's true that there is some very immediate kind of justice for those who would do evil. All right, prepare yourselves. It's coming. Ghost to Ghost AM is next. Good morning from the high desert. In time zones across America, it is Halloween. And this is Ghost to Ghost AM. My name is Art Bell. Normal talk radio is suspended. Not that what I do is all that normal most of the time anyway. On this, it's nothing but ghost stories all night long. Best you do as I have done and turn down the lights. You've got the nerve. Because some of what you're going to hear tonight is going to curl your hair or stand it up. Isn't this great? Could you stand to take this piece of music and go to a graveyard on this night? I think not. All right, everybody, here we go. Here's one. I've got a whole group of stories for you, which have come from all of you. And I've simply chosen some of them to kick off everything. Art, my first experience occurred in the early 70s. I was doing some college radio on WPKN-FM in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Now, alone, that's pretty small. Legend in the town of Easton nearby about a swamp monster, a Sasquatch type of creature. We decided to do a Halloween special in search of the Easton monster, so we wanted it to be a serious program. We researched past sightings, interviewed locals, even volunteers. Verify our findings. One lack thereof. The night that the expedition finally arrived, we loaded up 3 cars with personnel, audio, camera, equipment, took off to the side of a reservoir where sightings had been recorded. All 3 cars pulled off to a small clearing between the road and the reservoir. We turned off the engine, sat there in the darkness, waiting. Audio recorded, camera ready to show. Not a person. Suddenly, at the exact same moment, in all 3 cars, verified later, by listening to the tapes, at least one person in each car yelled, "Get the hell out of here." There was no communication between the cars. We all quickly drove back to the radio station, nobody speaking a word in route. When we got there, our producer had the foresight to suggest that no one say anything, but simply take a piece of paper and write down what had scared us. When we compared notes, we all had written the same thing. We had seen the figure of a woman, about 30, with long flowing hair and a long white gown, floating down the center of the road. She was transparent. As we were not looking for a ghost, this could hardly be considered hypnosis. We had been looking for a Sasquatch. She was all terribly unnerved. It immediately canceled the special, telling our audience there had been technical difficulties. That is from Steve Fisher in W. Washington. it is but one of several broadcast-related stories of this sort that I have for you this morning. I'm telling you right now, there are things that we do not understand, and there are many people out there that come off as this or that. I am not one of them. I'm not going to be fooling around. Because I think that takes away from the reality of what we're going to do. I'm not going to make a joke out of it, but I do have a I made. First, I'm going to let you is realize there's a lot of new listeners. I do a show on Sunday at Dreamland. The deal is this: why they refuse to be the world's, I say, expert. She doesn't like that term. Investigator. She is a journalist. Looks into crop circles, animal mutilations, and Sasquatch. Sent to me a tape of a sound of what is said to be Bigfoot. And try and imagine yourself out in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere. Brace yourself. If you've got a cat on your lap, get it off now. I'm telling you. This is the sound sent to me by Linda Howe. The sound of Sasquatch. If I use any sound effects, it would be this and one other. And that's it. And that's because they are said to be the real thing, which is what I want from you this morning. The real thing. If you've got a ghost story and you can tell it well, then I encourage you to pick up the telephone, and I guess I better cover the phone business right now, and then we'll go to the lines. All right? If you have never called this program, feel free to call our first-time caller line. It is area code 702-727-1222. 702-727-1222. Or you may wish instead to try what we call the wild card. Area code 702-727-1295. 702-727-1295. Toll free from west of the Rockies, anywhere west of the Rockies, is 1-800-618-8255. 1-800-618-8255. East of the Rockies, anywhere east of the Rockies, toll free, it's 1-800-825-5033. 1-800-825-5033. Now, here's the trick. Let them ring until they're answered. If you have not been picked up, they'll cut you off. The phone company does that. They don't. Pick it up, redial, try again. Persistence is power, and eventually we'll get through. So let us begin. The night is yours. Ghost to Ghost AM is on the air. And you will be the first caller. First time caller. Area 702-727-1222. We don't take last names on the air. Okay. So we didn't get started very well there because I had to bleep that out. So let us begin all over again. Just give us your first name only. Yes. And where are you? I'm in Santa Maria. Santa Maria, California. Hello. I'm glad to start off with your call. I'm pretty lucky. Sorry, that's kind of start off. I work at a radio station. Oh. And it's broadcast. Your show. Oh, you mean you work at one of my affiliates? Yeah, over at KSMA. In Santa Maria? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's excellent. Okay. Are you presently on duty? Oh, no, I'm in my room. I see. All right. My dad and my sister are listening. They both work there, too. And, we have a studios over at KSMA? Yeah. The way it goes is my dad used to work there. Just relax. No, I've never heard this. And since you're one of my affiliates, gee, I'm surprised. Maybe had you thought maybe they don't want this out? No, I asked my dad really, and at first my sister said that maybe he wanted us to know about the stuff that he said was okay. Oh. Anyway, this guy, he was working on the inside, and he was doing a game. Baseball game or something. And my sister, he works over on the EM, and he does games every once in a while, but I usually work on the inside. Right. And he just had a crisis happening there. I don't know how long ago it was, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. This guy was working a game, and the guy on the FM side comes out, and he sees this guy lying on the floor. And he calls up my dad and said, "Is your dad the manager of program director?" He's operations assistant. I see. And he called him and said, "Jeff, I think you better go over there. This guy is on the floor and he's dead." Yeah. I wouldn't like that myself. My dad's not over there, and by the time he was over there, paramedics were there working on it and everything. And so he eventually died because of a heart attack. Yeah. In the middle of the game. And the guy found him. One night, he goes to the hall, the long hall that's about 50 feet. He can't see the boxes. Anything that might be in the way, he might trip on. Sure. And he turns off the light, and he's going down there later, and he turns the hall. And he turns on the light, there's nothing there. It's right next to the AM room, I suppose. And anyway, later on, let me guess, he stumbled over the body. I don't know, but it was supposedly where he had found the body. Nothing was there when he turned on the light. Jeff, thank you for the story. That's not unusual, and it's a great way to set everything up. I am glad that you were here first. You see, this is the essence, I believe. And I've interviewed many people on Dreamland, this program, and others, experts in this area. And don't ask me, because again, I'm just a talk host. But when people die suddenly, painfully, sometimes murdered, sometimes with drastically unfinished business, unrequited love, whatever it might be, for some reason, the spirit seems to linger and get kept. That's 2 radio station stories I know well. I don't know if I like that. But it's the truth. Now, at one point during Jeff's, you hear a little sound, a little hum. That's because I didn't even need to ask them, obviously unequivocal. All right, east of the Rockies, you are on the air. Good morning. Hi, how are you, Art? Fine. Can I go ahead and, tell you, well, of course, where are you? I'm actually in Reno, listening on KOH. Well, actually, then you're on the wrong line. Why am I? This is east of the Rockies. The number you want to call is 1-800-618-8255. Hold on, I don't even have a pen. Well, that's the number. So thank you very much for the call, and I'll repeat it again. 1-800-618-8255. West of the Rockies. East of the Rockies, it's 1-800-825-5033. Again, East, you're on the air. Hi. Yes, sir. This is Tony from Pueblo. Listen to you on CCXJ. Pueblo, Colorado. Fine. Welcome to the program. Story I have, it actually happened
the summer of 1986, right before I went into the service.
Yes, sir.
And I'm originally from North Carolina.
I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah, just a little bit, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Part of the country I'm from is known very well for its ghost stories and UFO sightings and things of that nature. On this particular night, me and a couple of my high school buddies decided we were going to go to this place that was appeared to be a haunted house. We went up there and went inside and was messing around, just goofing off, doing typical high school guy things.
You need not describe them, I recall.
So we went ahead, got pretty bored with that, didn't see anything interesting, so we decided to leave. So the house was located out in the country, I guess about 6 or 7 miles from the town I lived in. And we started back into town. There's a long stretch of road called Haberstadt Road in that area. We started down the road and it just got real foggy. It's just like it just sat down, and threw me back there. So I figured it was just one of them typical things, and I got a little bit cool, and clouds came down.
And it just lays down, yeah.
And it just laid down on the road. Well, we're going down through there. Got to going and talking about people that pick up hitchhikers. And the next thing you know, they'll turn over and be talking to them, turn around, and they won't be there in the car.
Many stories left.
So we're going down the road, and I wouldn't say a fork in the road, I'd say an intersection where another road connected with the road we were on.
Yeah.
As we approach it, we can just make out a person standing right on the side of the road, right at where the road connects. And he's got his thumb out. Well, we're talking to each other, and I said, why don't we just stop and pick the guy up? And I'm like, no, man, don't do it, because we've just been talking about picking up hitchhikers. So I said, we're going to go ahead and do it. And I was driving, so I pulled the car over. The guy sitting beside me in the passenger seat rolls down the window, leans out and asks the guy if he needs a ride. Well, he just automatically comes back to me, and his face was just ashen. And I leaned down and looked out the passenger window, and he had already asked me if he had wanted a ride. I looked at the guy, and the guy was as white as a sheet. And he was still looking down the road in the direction that we had came from. And he didn't move any sign that he even knew we were there. And the next thing I done was hit the gas and got out as fast as I could. And that was, 9 years ago, and it's still, to this day, I think about it and it kind of gives me shivers.
And what is well, what was he?
I don't know, because I've never seen him before, and I come from a pretty small town. It was, I guess it was a ghost. That's the only thing I can attribute to it. It was a ghost. It was an apparition.
An apparition. I appreciate the call, sir.
Yes,
sir. There you are. An apparition. Many stories about hitchhikers getting into cars, talking about Gabriel's horns. Maybe in concert with, and then suddenly disappearing. Many such stories. East of the Rockies, you're on here. Good morning. Hi, how are you? All right, where are you? Detroit, our first Detroit moment. Yeah, I'd like to welcome you. Well, I thank you very much. We're very happy to be there. You'll find this to be a pretty weird show. But it's an acquired taste. Give it a little time, you'll learn to like it. Well, the only thing I've heard about you is very cerebral. Well, I'll take judgment on that after this is about it. Okay. It was 2 o'clock Eastern time. I don't know. No, it's coming up on midnight, the actual beginning of Halloween where I am, so I'm on Pacific time. I believe in Detroit, even though it doesn't seem like you guys ought to be, You're on Eastern time. You got it. So it's coming up on 3 o'clock in the morning there. Yeah. Yikes. I don't know to stay up and probably my host. It's just, the voice of the Great Lakes. But, that's what I did. The WJR covers 28 states. That's remarkable. Yeah, absolutely remarkable. And if I think about it, it's a funny thing, sir. I've been on network shows for several years, and yet every time a new station, a big one joins, I still get nervous, like right now. Listen, I'm coming up on a break, and so what I would like to do is our nickel. We will hold you over and bring you back after the news, all right? Sounds good. Now, you're not going to hear anything. Don't let it bother you. We'll be right back. This is CBC. Call Art Bell, toll free, west of the Rockies at 1-800-618-8255. 1-800-618-8255. East of the Rockies at 1-800-825-1033. 1-800-825-1033. This is the CBC Radio Network. Welcome to with you, everybody. I'm Bell, and we'll be here all night long. Nothing but ghost stories, ground rules, are simple. You tell the story. One reason. It's going to be a big one. Heaven knows he's in heaven. There are plenty of them out there. And going back now to a caller, my first caller, I might add, on WJR in Detroit. And I just, you said your radio station, sir, covers 38 states. I just got a fax from somebody. Said WJR 760 from Detroit is coming in here, gangbusters, and he sends the fax from Birmingham, Alabama. Oh, yeah. So they're gone all the way down to Alabama. You can get in Detroit, Alabama. Listen, Detroit, as we all know, is the center of some pretty strange activity on Halloween. And I know there's a lot of volunteers out in the streets, I think, but I assume so far they are. Well, they haven't been too bad. I just had to go outside just there. I was here, somebody was I'm going to keep people inside. Did you hear last hour? I think I just heard that Yes, oh, yes. And like nobody would have had the opportunity to do it, and would have had to do it dark. I'll tell you something, and I'll tell everybody else the story, which I sort of said I was never going to tell them. But that's a good one, sir. Thank you. And thank you. And we shall always remember you, by the way, as caller number 1 from Detroit. What was your first name again? My name is Casey. Casey. Casey from Detroit. Brother, thank you. Well, I'm from Detroit. All right. Thank you. When I I actually believe on the so personal, I don't believe these things. Toward the end of the call, she said she was going to come and meet you something. Well, she left me a Ouija board, an ancient Ouija board. I have never, nor will I to this day, tell you what has happened to that Ouija. When you call upon spirits, when you call upon the dark side, and you do it with something, an instrument, it does not matter. You better be damn careful what you're doing. Ouija boards are an opening. They're an opening into a world where there are things that you may not really wish to. So my advice to you, without telling you the detailed story, is like, my advice to you is do not play with Ouija boards. It's like opening a door. Just don't do it. Lester the Rockies, you're on the air. Yes. Okay, you're going to have to get into that phone and yell at us. How much better? Where are you? I'm in Spokane, Washington. I have a story for you. All right, go ahead. Doozy. About a year ago, I was staying at a friend's house in Newport, and we were sitting down in the basement, right? And we were sitting there smoking cigarettes and talking back and forth. Doing guy stuff. Yeah. And I was sitting there and I was watching my smoke till my cigarette go up, and all of a sudden I seen a face kind of appear into it, the smoke going up into the air. And I asked my friend, who did it? Like, yeah. And they smiled kind of, and it smiled? Yeah, it smiled. Now I can understand that people blow smoke rings. Yeah, I can even understand blowing the face, but I can't understand it smiling. Yeah, it just kind of formed into a face. It's the strangest thing I've ever done. I feel it shivers now. And it smiled at you? Yeah. Well, it's better to frown. Yeah. And then what happened to it then? It just kind of disappeared. So that's weird. He told me about stories about being drunk and attacks before too. Well, I'll tell you a little story. I have a photograph of a ghost, a real ghost. It might be a wonderful night for some of you to get this photograph. If you have a computer and a modem, we've got a bulletin board service, and you can go in and get a photograph of this ghost. Actually, there are several ghost photographs. Oh, by the way, my guest this last Sunday on Greenland sent me a photograph of a tornadic ghost. I don't know if that's a word, but it is obviously some sort of plasma material at the top of a staircase in the shape of a tornado. Now, down toward the bottom of the tornado, it's translucent. In other words, you can begin to look through it and see the stairs. It's the damnedest thing you've ever seen. I'm going to get that one up on the bulletin board for you. As soon as they send it to me to scan, I've got a scan of it right now. But I want to be able to scan it myself at a higher resolution rate. If you want to see a ghost, there's a man in Arizona who was a stone mason. He built stone. You know, he did basement. And he did a wine cellar for a fellow in about 100-year-old house. He was very proud of the work that he did. And when he was done, he took a photograph of his stone masonry work. When the picture came out, quite clearly a translucent being appeared in the photo. And it was captured very, very well. And we've published this photograph in our newsletter. And I might add, I've got it on a board. So if you want to download the picture of this ghost, you can call area code 702-727-1709 24 hours a day. We'll give that number to you again. 702-727-1709. And if you're able to download with the Steam modem, you can download a photograph of this ghost. You take a look. There's a face, there's a body, there's arms, there's legs. It's a ghost. It's clear. It's in color. There's no mistake about it. There's some sort of spirit, some sort of entity in that photograph. You're welcome to download it and take a look for yourself. You do a lot of that. You try to make some of this material available to you. So it does not all have to be the theater of the mind. I want you to be able to see what I see so that you can see that I'm not totally crazy. Western Rockies, you're on the air.
I have another good story I want to tell you.
Let her go.
Okay, this story happened in 1951. It was given to me by my father, and it happened to his cousin named Norbert. And he was at a movie theater in Morgan Hill, California, and he was leaving, going towards San Jose. And there's a stretch of road they call Monterey Highway that they called the Blood Alley. And one night, the movie was done. He was heading home, San Jose, heading north.
Sure.
And he was going about 45 miles an hour in his old car.
I know the road, by the way.
Yeah. And it was from the highway. And while he was going up there, he saw this, beautiful young-looking lady on the side of the road and walking really slowly. And he kind of slowed down and he was looking over at her. And she had a beautiful white dress on. And she was looking down, and he slowly passed her. And he looked in his rearview mirror, and he saw her, and he slowed down a little bit more and was going, 10 miles an hour. And for some reason, he got a really nervous feeling inside, and he slowly sped up because he was scared. He didn't know exactly what it was. And, if it was something different, he got a different feeling inside. And, he sped up a little bit. He was going about 35, 40 miles an hour. He happened to look back again, and he didn't go any further away. He wasn't leaving. And that really,
You mean the lady in the white dress was as close to him?
yes. as it was the first time he saw him. And he really started getting nervous. And, well, he put his foot on the pedal and got up to about 50, 55 miles an hour. Sure. And he looked in the mirror, and it wasn't any, as a matter of fact, it was getting closer to him. It was getting closer to his car.
Really?
On the passenger side.
There are many, sir, that have died on that road.
Yes, very. It was a lot of fatal accidents back in the 50s and early on and later on also. And as he got up to speed, he started really frightened now. At this time, he was really frightened. He was going, tipping the car out to, I guess, 70, 75 miles an hour is what he said.
That would be my reaction.
Yeah, he was really moving now.
I'm the let's get out of here kind of person.
Yes. And he looked in the mirror this time, and he looked in the, as a matter of fact, he didn't look in the mirror. He looked over to his right side where his little side mirror was to get a better picture. And, the worst thing possibly happened that he thought would happen. And there was a white dress floating next to the car. And when he looked at the window, he said he saw a face of a skeleton with white straw hair looking at him with his mouth open. And he was so frightened he could not believe it. He slammed his brakes on in the middle of the road. It was late at night. In the middle of the road, slammed his brakes on, and, closed his eyes as tight as he could, said a prayer. And when he looked back, it was gone. He turned around and went back to his mother's house, which was about 20 miles the other way. And then he looked back at all, and he went home. And he told the story and told it to the whole family. As far as I know, he never went down that road again if he could.
These things change your life forever. Thank you very much for the call. It's one thing to tell them, it's another to really experience. When you do, it changes your life forever and ever. Because it does not matter what anybody else believes or chuckles about or laughs about. If you experience something like that, you're never, ever going to be the same. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Doug from Vancouver.
Washington?
Yes. Let's see, I've got a ghost story. Sort of a ghost story. Almost a ghost story.
Well, how do I think almost? Either you're a spirit or you're a physical entity. It's one or the other.
Well, I'll explain it and I'll go from there.
Maybe I can tell you.
I was up in Yosemite, National Park in California.
Yes.
And doing a Ouija board. And there were, I guess, about 10 or 12 people in the room. There was only 2 of us on the board. The other people were, standing around watching, contributing their energy. And we got something that came across as being, negative. I don't necessarily want to say evil, but definitely negative oriented.
You want to tell us what it was?
Well, it wouldn't give us a name, but the impression I have was that it was something higher up than just an ordinary demon. It was very strong, very intelligent.
Now, was this manifesting itself simply through moving on the Ouija board, spelling things out, or what?
That's the way it started. We were, asking questions. At first we didn't know that these people, having done the Ouija board for several years prior to that, we learned to ask appropriate questions to determine whether it's a positive or a negative entity. And after having determined that it was a negative entity, we were going to stop, but the rest of the people in the room wanted to leave because they were messages. So we went ahead and continued it, which we were after a while, it told us to turn the lights off. Oh, we did, right? Yeah, we turned the lights off, we turned the candle on.
All right, I'm coming up on a break. I want you to pull up this story for break, all right? Okay. All right, stay right where you are. We will shortly be back. You're listening to an annual event called Ghost to Ghost a.m. I'm Art Bell. Put your seatbelts on, everybody. It's going to be a rough ride. That's 702-727-1295. First time callers can reach Art Bell at 702-727-1222. 702-727-1222. Now, here again, Art Bell. Hot for the morning, everybody. Good to be here. It's ghost stories and ghost to ghost all night long. Tell you what, let me take care of business here in the beginning, and we'll jump back into it. How's that? Please, family, right on. Oh, look at that beat. Boom, right. To the top of the hour. I realized I have to go on tonight. Good morning. This is Ghost to Ghost AM. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry we interrupted you, sir. You're back on the air again. Oh, no problem. Let's see what I say. It asked us to turn the lights off. So we lit a candle and we can turn the lights off. Yeah, so we found that out the hard way. We continued, she's with it for about a minute or so. Unbeknownst to us, back behind the group, towards the corner of a room, a light started to form. Just in the middle of the air. It started off real small, but it was real bright. It was actually lighting up the room. The room got real cold, real fast. There was no bad smell or anything, but it was quite cold all of a sudden. That'd be enough for me. Now, what I want to know, first of all, before you continue is, I'd be out of there. I mean, in a flash, I'd be out of there. Light begins to form where there ought not be light. The room gets cold. That'd be all I do. Since my friend and I had been doing it for, on a semi-regular basis for a couple of years, we were fairly fluent, at least up to that point. We hadn't, gotten anything that strong before, but we pretty much knew how to, deal with it once it got to that point. My friend started getting sick to his stomach. I started, getting a little bit of a headache. So we stopped, with the board itself and basically moved back away, relaxed ourselves, started saying some prayers, started, at least I started imagining, a golden light around myself, which is what I consider protective light. And went from there, and we just left the board alone, and the light did fade. We turned on the room light,
themselves, and the light just faded out.
Well, that's good. There are a lot of people who would say to you, you should have been praying the first time that place, not messing around with the Ouija board.
Well,
You know what?
oh yeah, I know that.
Doing something like that, individuals are taught from wherever it comes from. And you can put your Ouija board away, and it won't matter, because it's in.
Right, yeah. Once it's done its full transformation crossover, yeah. But we managed to stop at the time.
So what would you advise people out there about Ouija boards?
Well, first of all, there are several good books out there. If you're really determined to use one, read the books on it first. The best thing to do is to, one of the most common questions, if you get a negative oriented spirit, one of the most common questions that it will ask is, can I come in? And never think that it's referring to coming into the room or into your home or whatever. When it's asking that question, it's wanting to come in on you. And you always say no. And if you get a question like that, I would suggest that you stop and don't mess with it anymore.
Okay, thank you very much for the call. There are many out there who probably are not around with this kind of thing. Very serious. Not a joke. A Ouija board is an instrument, in my opinion. Now, it may be a particularly powerful instrument, but you can invite these sorts of forces in with or without a Ouija board. And my advice to you is, don't do it. Like an unwelcome in-law coming to visit, it might not leave. East of the Rockies, you're on the air, top 40 morning.
So, Jeff, I'm calling from Denver.
Denver, yes, sir. Hey, how are you?
Yes, and I have a true fact story that I can relate to you about spirits, ghosts, or whatever you want to call it.
Let her rip.
I was living in an apartment complex, and a guy came over to me. I met him just inadvertently, and I was working in the legal field, and he asked me to check out whether or not his wife had been married before, and I did that, and I gave him information, and he came over to my apartment.
Has she been? I just want to know.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it was big me. Oh my. He was married to her for 10 years, and she never got a divorce. So he came over to my house. He was crying.
Sure.
I took him over to his apartment, tried to calm him down. He went into a rage. He started tearing telephones out of the wall, breaking lamps, tables, etc. And then he came at me like he was going to attack me. He got right up close to me, and he fell down, and he started to convulse. And I thought, well, this guy has epilepsy.
Sure.
And then he jumped up again and did the same thing again and went down like someone hit him in the head with a ball bat. And I was frightened. The hair on my head went up. His eyes were rolling back. He was foaming at the mouth.
You're saying it was like he was in combat with some horse.
I don't know what was going on, but what I can say that really frightened me was he was speaking out of his own mouth and cursing me and doing all this, but there were multiple voices coming up. Sometimes there were one, sometimes it sounded like 2 or 3 or 5 or 6. And then he stopped breathing, and the guy was foaming at the mouth. And I went down, I checked his pulse and all that. I had to give him CPR. He didn't breathing again, and I had to run over. He pulled the phone out of the wall. I had to run over to the neighbors and ask them to call the cops. And then the cops, the fire department, the EMTs, all of them came over. They took him off to ER. And I thought, well, when he was talking to me, it was horrible. It was something I can't even explain.
What would you say? Would you think he was possessed, or was he being beaten by some outside force?
Well, all I can say is there were voices coming out of his body when his eyes were rolled back. He was foaming at the mouth. He was writhing on the floor, and that sometimes it sounded like one person talking. Sometimes it sounded like five, four, whatever, talking. And so I gave him the CPR. They took him off, and then that was about 11 o'clock at night. And then about 4 in the morning, they let him out of PR and he came back to my apartment. And I said, get out of here. I don't want to talk to you. I'm sure. Yes, leave, go, now. And then about 5 months after that, I met him in a parking lot of a shopping center. And I said, do you realize what's going on? Do you understand? And he said, yeah, can you imagine what those cops did to my apartment? I said, the cops didn't do anything. You did that. And I talked with him for a while, and then he told me that he was an immigrant from France. He was in an orphanage in France, and as far as these convulsions and stuff, I asked him if he was epileptic or all that, and he said no. And I was talking with him, and he said, I was in an orphanage in France, and 2 persons told me I was possessed. And I said, gee whiz, and that was, I didn't talk to him about that. That's enough. All right, my friend, thank you.
Well, what to say about that? We were talking about inviting entities in a few moments ago. Maybe on occasion they invite themselves in. Maybe on occasion they take the minds of those who can be taken. Have you thought of that? Wildcard Line, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, WPC Superior.
In Wisconsin.
Actually, I'm in Duluth.
Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah, your Detroit station's coming through pretty good, too.
All right.
So, yeah, you going to tell us what happened here on
Absolutely not.
Can't talk to you, huh?
No, that's one story I really won't tell. It scares me. And I don't like telling it. Not even on this day. It scares the hell out of me. That's one thing that really did scare me. And so I warned people about Ouija boards. How about you? Do you have a story?
Yeah, I got a quick one for you.
All right.
Back in the 50s, my mom was seeing a gentleman in school. She was a junior in high school. They were really in love with each other, this, that, and the other thing. And one day, she was sleeping, and she kind of sat in bed, and she woke up and found him standing in the room. What are you doing there? He just kind of put it away. And then he was
Oh, there's a lot of stories like that. There's a lot of stories. Thank you very much. Now, I believe we had Brad Steiger on a couple of weeks ago, and actually we've been doing a warm-up to Halloween for some time now. But there are many, many stories like that. It seems when many die, the energy that is us, the energy that may be our soul, our essence, whatever it is you want to call it, give your own name, has something that it must say to somebody that it has left behind. It must say it, and somehow that energy, either still here on Earth or from elsewhere, finds its way back long enough to assure the person that it loves, or to pass a message that must be passed, information that a loved one must have, and somehow the energy makes it back. That's me. It's 2 talk shows. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Thank you.
Where are you?
Pardon?
Where are you?
Corpus Christi, Texas.
All right, welcome.
Welcome. I have several ghost stories, but I don't have that much time.
Now give us your best.
Oh, yes. Okay. One time my husband and I had a disagreement. He had been, just balancing and carrying on, and I got mad at it. And I was very upset. And my mom told me, well, Amy was cooled down, and so she said, let's go to this bookstore that happened to be in a hospital.
and we were walking down the corridor.
Why is it that when women get upset, they go shopping? True, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But anyway, my mom and I were walking down the corridor, and in the hospital, we hear there's like teachers, and there's like, doctors.
Dr. Jones.
Dr. Jones, and
That's right.
and anyway, I was afraid, and she said, calm down. I said, no, she just said, I have everything. And nothing you can say, you better take off. She said, well, I really think it's cool down. I said, well, no, that's it. At that point, we heard a voice walk by, and it was just bad. In a really good voice. Yeah. Where did you yeah. And I didn't even think of it until we walked about 2 feet. And then my mom and I looked at each other, and we turned around together, and we saw a tall, almost 25 statured man and a short man. And they both had on this white gowns, and their skin was very cold. And we both looked at it, and then I kept looking at it, and then they called us, turned around, and went to a Frankenstein direction, and looked directly into my eyes. And the lips were set up just a bit, like telling me, I'm just because you're vulnerable, because you can be fine. And then he just turns around and he walks out with the other short guy. And they looked at him, and their skin tone was like, it was green as if they were lips and ears. And then I looked at my mom, and she looked at me, and she said, let's just find the job. We both made the kind of job. And she said, look, when you're this upset with somebody, the evil spirit know that you're vulnerable. And at this point, you need to cool down, because this is how bad things happen.
Well, I'll bet you if her first speech didn't work, this one did.
Yeah, well, some are doing them, but
you did calm down.
yeah, I did calm down. I just want to tell everybody that there are vegetables out there. When you're being negative, and you're vulnerable, and you don't have to feel Christ or something, there's no problem for them. But if you can say a prayer at 9 minutes,
it's a matter of weakness.
It's a matter of weakness. It's a matter of weakness, and that they'll come right on in, and this is how bad things happen.
It's such a good point. Thank you. Even if I were to relate it to what I do, and on this program, we talk about a million things. This is like any other, not like any other program you've ever heard. We delve into areas that are there really is no explanation. I can't put it into words. You're just going to have to listen to the program. Not just this one, but the one we do on a regular basis, and you'll begin to get the idea. We don't bore in, we're not like other talk shows. We don't bore in only on politics or anything else. We do whatever comes up on any given night. And occasionally, we'll be in the political arena, or we'll be talking about something very terrestrial. And somebody will push my button. Now, in latter years, I'm trying to let it happen less and less, but my button can be pushed. And there have been, over the years, a few times, mind you, a few times, when I have virtually lost it. I mean, I have become red-faced, heart-pounding, totally out of it, angry, and just totally blew up on the air. It does not happen very frequently, but it has occurred. Let me tell you, when that does occur, folks, as this lady just said, in my opinion, these are very, very vulnerable moments. And it's possible that if there is something close, something waiting for you, you are vulnerable. And it could take you in an instant. You don't believe it? That's fine. This is my warning. You're listening to Ghost AM. From the great American Southwest and the high desert, I'm Art Bell. We'll be right back. Options at 1-800-618-255. 1-800-618-255. Options at 1-800-255-9033. 1-800-255-9033. This is the CNC Radio Network. From the great American Southwest, I bid you good night. This is Ghost to Ghost AM. A lot of new radio stations joining us this morning. WJR Detroit, WHAM Rochester, New York. Both of them monsters covering large segments of the entire country. Also WFMD, Frederick, Maryland, touching parts of Baltimore, Washington, D.C. As well, WTAD, Quincy, Illinois. Welcome to all of you. Welcome to, well, I don't know. There never is a norm on this show, but if there is, this is not it. We're telling ghost stories. Tonight, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. You've all right. If you're just joining us, sorry. We'll get back to it all in just a moment. This is from a retired Navy fellow. Mark, you had a show about airplane ghosts. Well, here's one about shipbuilding. I am retired, U.S. Coast Guard. I served on the icebreaker Glacier with a ghost. One of the mains is making bad noises and the watch needs you. Got to the engine as fast as I could. The door opened as I got there, and one of the sailors said I was just coming to get you. I told him I came as soon as I was called. His reply was, huh? This just happened, and I was just coming to get you. Another time, I saw the hatch to the emergency diesel generator room close, and the lock wheel spin and lock. On entering the compartment, there was no one there. It's a small area with no place for anyone human to hide. The third time the ghost made himself known was for a woman who worked for the district office. She was updating blueprints while we were moored in Long Beach. Suddenly, she burst into the mess hall, so scared she was shaking. She told us she had seen a translucent, transparent sailor walk out of a bulkhead of the passageway, glare at her, continue on down the hall. She never came back on that ship. Jim, U.S. Coast Guard, retired. Seldom Washington. Thank you, Jim. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hi, Art. This is Jamie calling from Houston, Texas.
How you doing, Jamie?
I'm just fine. I'm a first-time caller, and I want to say that I've personally never seen a ghost. The story I wanted to tell you has been in the family over 90 years, so I thought I might tell you. It's coming from 3 generations.
You might tell me.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, my grandmother used to tell me that her grandmother told her when she was a girl, her uncle, her mother's brother, his wife died after they had had a new baby, and he had a little girl that was 6 years old, and then they had a new baby. Well, when he would get the little girl and the baby bedded down at night, there were no electric lights, just old shacks in South Carolina. He would go out late at night, for a couple of hours, but he would leave a fire burning in the fireplace.
Sure.
Well, one night he went out and he didn't come back. He stayed out a little late, and the baby started to cry. And the little girl, being 6 years old, she was afraid because the fire was burning out. She was afraid to get up. So after a while, the baby cried and cried. After a while, she heard this thump, and then something came down the fireplace. So the girl said it looked like a big bird, and the bird stood right in front of the fireplace. And it started spreading its wings. And the fire just rose up. and she could hear a voice saying, "Get up and give Mama's baby some water." She couldn't see the face of the bird. She could only see the back, but she knew that was her mother's voice. So she walked around the bird and got the baby some water. When the baby was back down, the bird went back up into the fireplace just like it came, and the fire burnt real high all night long. And the little girl was getting real proud about this big bird that came down the fireplace and told her to get up and give Mama's baby some water. So when she told his brother, which is my grandmother's grandmother's 85 now, he told him never leave the children alone anymore. But it was just amazing how something good, I guess we could call it a ghost or whatever, but the mother just wanted her to give babies water, little girl like that.
Well, I suspect in the spirit world there is good and there's evil.
Sure. And I just thought I wanted to share that with you because that's not evil. It was a good thing.
I appreciate it.
And my grandmother handed it down, and I suppose when my son gets old and has grandchildren, I'll hand it down to him. So thank you, Art, for having me, and I'm listening to you.
All right, I'm glad. Thank you. That's KCRH. Now, I agree with that lady. There's good and there's evil. How many of you saw a movie called The Stand? The bird story reminded me of this. In The Stand was a wonderful movie. The first hour of it is possibly some of the best I've ever seen. It kind of deteriorated in my view after that, the television version. But in The Stand, you may recall the large, black, evil bird. Well, I broadcast, for those of you who are just joining us, from my home, in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere, in a little town called Pahrump, Nevada. Laugh, if you will. At any rate, our town is famous for many things, but one of them is big black birds. And the movie they used, the bird they used for the movie, The Stand, came from right here in Pahrump. And those birds are all around me. So these are some of the biggest, these birds are big enough to carry cats off. You don't mess with birds out here. I don't know why they're so common to this area, but they're here. Big birds. Birds so big that if you can get near them and they begin to take off, their wingspan, as they begin to beat their wings to get their big bodies in the air, you can feel the grass. They are that big. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi, Art. How are you? Okay. Where are you? I'm in Reno right now. Reno. KOH. That's right. This story happened to me, I would say it was 91, 92. I don't remember the exact date. I was living in Guam. And I was at a friend's house, and he was on his way out of the door. I'd just shown up, and he's like, well, hey, look, I'm going to a rosary, which is really common out there. It's very, very Catholic, and it's kind of like the remembrance of their loved ones that have passed away. She's like, look, I'm on the way to this rosary. How about this? Come with me. We'll keep that way. We'll keep it real short. We'll just stop there. We'll, say hello, blah, 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 whatever. Pay all the respects, and then we'll take off. Right. Well, we get there. Everything's kind of fine. Everybody's kind of just mellow, and it's mostly just the immediate family of this guy that had passed away. Yes. And it was a guy that he went to school, my friend had went to school with. And so we're standing there, and the guy that died, little sister came in. She was about maybe 4 or 5 years old, crying. She comes running from down the hall, and I don't remember the dead guy's name, but I'll just say David. She was crying, and her mother's like, what's the matter, hon? And she's like, well, David's here. And she was like, I don't want to hear that. Just kind of calm down. She's like, Mommy, David's here. He's here. And the grandmother said, look, just, your mother doesn't need this right now. Sure. And so everything was fine for about 15 minutes. Next thing you know, she's standing there. She goes, look, there he is. And we all just kind of stopped, and we're all looking down the hall. There's nothing. She's like, can't you see him? We're like, no. And the grandmother by this time is getting a little irate, and the mother's pretty much crying. pretty profusely, I guess, and it wasn't a really good scene at this time. So everything kind of chilled out a while, and I'd say about 5 minutes passed. She walks down the hall, comes back, and she's just saying, look, David wants us in his room now. And, just to kind of humor her, I guess, they go in the room with her. Sure. And also, her older brother, the one, that was older than the one that had died. So I just followed because, I don't know, it's kind of like one of those little horror movies, I guess. You want to know what's going on. So I followed him into the room, and she's, pointing to these I guess they're cupboards or whatever, but they're kind of like sliding doors.